Thank you so much, Gina, for the intro. Again, welcome to our education hour for the month of May 2014. My name is Esther LaVielle, and I'm the VP of Client Services here. And each month we do a 1-hour monthly education hour of tips and tools to make the usage of survey analytics more efficient and even fun to meet your research goals. We're trying to aim for 30 to 45 minutes for these, plus some room for some QA. And all clients are welcome. And in this particular webinar today, we'll be showing you some tips and tricks on how to use for surveys and analytics. And we also take a little bit of time to debut products and services available to our current clients. And it's also just a great way just to see what's new with us and what you can do with your existing surveys in your license. So today's topic is everything you need to know about piping and mapping. And on our agenda, we're just going to go over, piping 101, the basics, intermediate piping methods, advanced piping methods, and then we're going to jump into some basic mapping, and then we'll look into some intermediate mapping methods, advanced mapping methods, as well as just a few new enhancements that we've added to survey analytics recently. And if you have some time, we'll do a demonstration and open up the floor to Q&A. So let's go ahead and get starting with piping today. And what exactly is piping? And I just thought it'd be fun to kind of use Super Mario Brothers as a really fun example, because they might know a thing or two of pipes, but survey programmers should as well. So what piping does, it enables you to carry text from one question to the next depending on the options selected by the respondent. And I kind of like to think of it as different pieces of a pipe that you put together and kind of flow different answers to make it more meaningful when they give additional follow-up questions. So it's kind of like building a sink, so to speak. So when to use piping? You'll want to use piping when you need to ask some follow-up questions to the answers that were selected. You also want to show the answers within the survey so they don't need to flip back and forth between different questions, and you have a page break in between. You also want to carry over any open-ended questions for follow-up. Piping text is also based on the selected answers or open-ended text only. And then piping text can be carried over to the next immediate page exclusively. If you need to carry it onto multiple pages or pages further down in the survey, you can use a type of piping, and we will discuss that as well. It is available on both online and mobile applications, and also our mobile optimized surveys. So keys for piping. If there's anything that you guys need to learn from this, is these two keys. And these are the two codes to get the piping text to go from one question to another. And it's just the plus sign with the curly brace, piping underscore text, and then close the curly brace again. And then below that is also the piping in which you can use custom variables as well. And so all you need to do is switch out the piping text and put in the custom variable number that you want to use. So to get started with some basic piping here, just put together a few examples, and we'll go ahead and do that a live demo as well. So here we just did some follow-up questions on your favorite Super Mario Brothers character. And what you'll need to do is just go ahead and if after you picked your favorite Mario Brother character, we would need to rate the following attributes for XXXX. And so for that, what you'll need to do is replace that with the piping text, and that's from the answers that they picked from below or before in the previous question. So piping will enable for you to do that. And all you'll need to do is, if you need to use, if you needed to select Mario for question number 1, then the follow-up question will be displayed as, as Mario as well. So the setup here is to go, after you set up all of the questions in your survey, you'll need to just go into the Edit Survey and then select Add Update Logic and select Branching and Skip Logic. And the piping option will only be displayed once the branching destination is selected. So if you don't select any kind of branching destination, the piping option won't show up. And then once you've done that and set up the branching, then go ahead and type in your piping text and update the branching logic. The next thing is to go to the destination question, which is the follow-up question, and go ahead and use the code, piping text code, whenever you would like to get the piping text to follow up. So you would just need to go ahead and type in, the plus sign, curly brace, piping text underscore, and then close the curly brace. And so once you have that, then you'll be able to update. Now, if you need to do open-ended text and you'd like to grab that and move that over, the only thing you'll need to do is go ahead and change the custom variable and use a custom, change the piping text to a custom variable number, and then type in the custom variable to carry that over. And then once you have that set up, then we'll just add a page break and it will close up the pipe. So hopefully that made any sense there. So again, I'm just going to go back and just show you quickly here. So go into the logic, update here with the piping text, and then go to the follow-up question, add your piping text code, and then you're all set. So let's go ahead and jump into the next one, which is intermediate piping. And this is whether you want to take the pipe answers and pipe them to multiple pages or 2 pages further down in the survey. So what you'll need to do is go ahead and select logic branching and assign instead, and do pretty much the same thing as you did before with the piping text, but this time you want to assign a custom variable number. So you can see here on the right side, I gave Mario custom variable 1 and Luigi custom variable 2. And in our system, you can have up to 255 variables at any time. And then once you have that set up, all you need to do is switch out the piping text code with the custom variable number text code to pipe it to selected answers anywhere that you want inside your survey. And once you're complete with the piping, you can go ahead and add in your page breaks. And generally, you want to add it before the follow-up and immediately after the follow-up question. So if you know that you need to do any piping to a question with no logic and they don't have any logic available, again, instead of using the piping text code, just go ahead and replace that with the custom variable. So you can see here I have an example with a piping text on a particular max diff question, which doesn't have much logic on there. And all I did was just branch one question and then apply the piping text and then assign a custom variable. And then you can add it pretty much anywhere. And you can see you can put it into a question code as well. And so pop that in there and then you're pretty much set to go. So it gives you a lot of freedom. It allows your respondents to know automatically what they've selected. Then there's not going to be an issue with them having to flip back and forth in the survey to remember how they answered previous survey questions. So let's go ahead and jump into something a little bit more advanced. And if you need to pipe answers from a multiple select question type and ask consecutive or follow-up questions, that would be called a loop. So what you would do, so the loop is basically piping times multiple select answers. And so to set that up, you just make sure that you open up your multi-select template and then select branching And after you select the branching, you want to type in your piping text. So I have, on the right side, I have Mario Kart Wii and Super Mario Sluggers. And so once you have that up, you want to scroll down to the bottom and enable multiple branch looping. And the looping is going to allow you to ask the question over and over for each particular answer that they selected in the previous question, but allow it to only show up, one at a time. So once you have that set up, then you would go to the following question and update your piping text just like we showed you earlier, and then we'll go into each of the answers individually. And once you've added that, then you can go ahead and add your page breaks to start and close your loop. So what if you want to go ahead and widen the loop? So for example, if you have a survey that you would like to ask consecutive questions to particular answers from a multi-select answer option, and ask them a series of 3 questions, and only have those answers show up one at a time to go through those series of 3. So what you'll need to do here is to go into your edit options and go into the logic branching per usual, type in your piping text, and then go into enable looping multiple times per usual. And then once you have that up, just add the piping and text to each of the following questions that you like. But the key thing, after you add your follow-up questions or your series of follow-up questions within the loop, to make sure that you turn on the page break at the beginning of the loop and at the very end of the loop to close it. So what that will do, it will allow you to go in through those series of 3 questions and go through those over and over for each answer. And once you open and close the loop, then it will move on to the next part of your survey. So scripting for piping. So if you have any questions or you need a different kind of piping option that we did not cover today, we've got you covered with scripting through Velocity or JavaScripting. And just to let you guys know that it usually is a part of your current license unless it's extremely complex. And so if you're interested in adding any kind of scripting or piping to a survey, just make sure to speak to your customer success manager for more details so you can get started on custom scripting. So let's go ahead and jump into the next topic here, which is mapping. And mapping is basically the ability to be able to code all of the custom variables that you're using in our system. I like to think of it as a way of playing Pictionary inside of your survey. So instead of just using, custom variable 1 is this and custom variable 2 is this, you can actually change the word custom variable number to the actual word. So if you're going to use age, income, demographic information, or any profiling information that you've collected, and you want to be able to identify that in the raw data that you download, then mapping would be a good idea for you. So basically, it just recodes your custom variables into a single description, and it renames it into something you recognize. And it's a first step towards database integration with Survey Analytics. So this is just an example, just using words instead of a bunch of numbers, so you know exactly what you're getting with your raw data, so you'll be able to do more profiling and segmentation as well. Some tips about mapping. You definitely want to do mapping before piping. Now you're probably going to ask me, why did you show piping first instead of mapping? Well, I did that because I wanted to show you the process of how easy it would be, and this is just one extra step in the beginning. And mapping usually should be done in the process of when you are creating your survey, so you know what kind of codes or maps you're going to be using, and then after that, you would apply any of your logic skip patterns. So that's probably why I said, use mapping before piping. And then basically, anytime you're using any kinds of custom variables from your email list or just from your panel, make sure to try to code them into something that you recognize. So it changes the code. So anything that you use with the custom variable code, just change that into the mapping text. So if you change custom variable 1 from custom 1 to to Mario, then all you need to do is put the excuse me, the $, then the curly brace Mario, then close it with the curly brace. So the next tip is to make sure to keep track of the mapping variables. It's really important in general that you are tracking all your custom variables because that will prevent any integration issues, especially connecting with third-party tools or sample firms like Salesforce, Google Analytics, QSample, or more. And you do have up to 255 or 225 mapping variables that you can use. So to get started with some basic mapping, what you'll need to do is go ahead and upload a list of variables and make sure it's the same process as uploading an email list. Now, if you don't want to upload an email list, that's perfectly fine. You can still use the same format and put in some test emails and still upload some proprietary information. I mean, we don't know what it is, but you would know, and you can use that to code the raw data and the profiling info that you would need. After you do that, you'll just want to jump into the Edit Survey tab and then click on Variable Mapping and then select Add Variable Mapping by adding the different custom variable numbers that you're using, and then update the display name and the code name. You can always update the display name without updating the code name, so it's not necessary for you to add those two and have it be the same. But generally speaking, just adding the display name would work. And once you set that up and everything, you've already recoded the custom variables with the display name, then you can go ahead and select Save, and you're all set to go there. The next thing you'll want to do is to go into your survey and update or make any changes to the survey by replacing the mapping text to what you would need. So if you wanted to add the custom variable age, then you just do the $, curly brace, age, and then close it with the curly brace within the survey. We also offered a quick custom mapping option. Now this is for those who don't have a lot of time going in one by one. They just need to just copy and paste something from a CSV file. And that would be fine. So it would make it easier to update your mapping custom variables, and you can then use it for piping, logic, raw data, and also your data segmentation. So what you'll need to do is just click on the quick add, which is next to the regular add, and then enter each variable one at a time per line. And then each custom variable can be mapped to only one value, and the display name should be unique, and the code must be unique and not contain any special characters, including space. And that is, it's an optional field, like I said before. And so the first column is always for the custom variable number, and then The next one would be the display name or the description that you want to give that custom variable. So you can see on the left side here, I've got, custom variable 123 with household income, city, and state. And so that's how we've broken that down. So all you need to do is, copy and paste the CSV file directly inside here, and that should really help with saving a lot of time. And again, you have up to 255 variables to use. Now, if you want to do some intermediate mapping, this is actually pretty popular with a lot of our clients, and they want to pass variables through the survey link instead. And they don't have to be codes that, we know you can make up your own codes on your end, to keep it anonymous. And what you would do is basically copy the survey URL link and paste it, into any notepad. And after that, just go ahead and add a question mark to the end of the URL. And to add the mapping code, all you need to do is add the actual value instead of the custom variable code. And then after that, you just type in the particular variable or mapping variable that you want to put in. And then after that, you can pass in additional or multiple custom variables as well. So you can see for my example here, I've got mariofans.surveyanalytics.com. I added a question mark, and then after the question mark, I added in a variable mapping of region, and I said equals northwest. And then after that, I added an extra layer on top of that with regions equals northwest, with the and assigned and also the ID, and I typed in, 1, 2, 3. And so anytime someone takes the survey with this URL, these particular items will be passed through, so they know that this is from this region, and then that ID is pertaining to, it could be a salesperson or someone on your end. And then you could use those variables or mapping variables for your data segmentation as well. If you need to do some panel variable mapping, it's very simple to do. So these are particularly for people that have a panel tool. And what you'll be doing is basically going into your panel profile and scroll down to the bottom where you can add the survey custom variable. And right now, the panel variables are not available for the surveys, but then you can have it in your raw data. And once you have that in the raw data, you'll be able to use it for segmentation and other analytic tools that we offer. And so that's how you use the panel variable and map that. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some advanced mapping options that we have. So if you want to map the answers and integrate with tools like Salesforce or Pardot, we do offer, mapping interface options and capabilities to post these custom variables from survey analytics to tools such as Salesforce. So in our system here, we generally will have the first couple of custom variables or mapping variables 1 and 2, and reserve those to look up anything on Salesforce, and so that will allow you to map the objects appropriately. So the very first thing you'll need to do is to go into the integration tab, select Salesforce CRM, and type in your username, password, plus a security token that is given to you from salesforce.com. And once you select that, you just want to verify the connection. And after you verify the connection is all good to go, this is the object mapping option that you will have in your Salesforce account. And what you'll want to do is select where you would like to have the data from your survey to be collected. So you can pick any one of these items. And after you have set that up, what you'll need to do is go into the Add Edit template, where we saw how to get to the logic and everything as well. So jump into the template, and then on the side, once you have a Salesforce connection, you'll see a Salesforce.com CRM option. Select that, and then you can tell them where you want to map particular answers. And then once you have that saved, then the answers will be collected and then automatically pushed over to tools such as Salesforce. If you have other outside databases that you would like to speak to us about doing data mapping or moving data over into like a SQL database, definitely speak to us, because mapping isn't just renaming things and recoding. It's moving data over and getting it to the right place and just knowing exactly what this data pertains. And so we do have a lot of different options available for you. Just make sure to speak to your customer success manager. And if there are integration fees that apply, we'll definitely let you know. But for the most part, Salesforce is available for those who do have the appropriate Salesforce account. So, make sure to take advantage of that. Let's go ahead and talk about the analytics when you're using piping and mapping. This is a very popular topic that comes up quite a bit in our chat and support, so I thought it'd be very important to address. The first thing you'll need to know is that if you want to analyze the data based on piped answers and mapping variables, you'll want to make sure to assign all your piping text to a custom variable number or mapping code. And then once you have that up, recode all your custom variables to mapping text code. And then after you have that all set up in the survey side, in the reporting tool itself, you want to use the dashboard report tool as well as our data segmentation tool to drill down into the specific system variables that you have now set up. So other tools that also will use mapping and piped text is in the banner pivot table. Keep in mind, when you do download the data from the system, the raw data will not show the piping text. It will only show the recorded variable mapping text that you have put in. So you just want to make sure you have that. So in order to specifically see, how many people thought, your favorite, their favorite Super Mario Brother character was Luigi, then they would go in and select the appropriate variables to see what that is. So here's an example of going into a mapping the banner pivot tables with the appropriate custom variables. And then you can also use it not only in the dashboard report that we just saw, but you can also use it from the custom dashboard, trend analysis, turf analysis, everywhere in our surveys. And this is from the custom dashboard that you can see, which is basically allowing you to select particular questions and then be able to segment the data according to your new mapped variables that we have. So we got the age, games played most, that kind of thing, and then we can review the data based off of that. And there's the data segmentation. And once again, in the data segmentation tool, you should be able to also download the raw data for that particular filter as well. And if you have questions about that, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to assist you with that as well. So let's go ahead and talk about some new enhancements that we've added. We've got a few of them. We're not going through a whole list like we've normally done in the last couple months. I'm just going to focus in on the two that we're really excited about. So the first one we're going to be talking about is our data comparison report. And what this is that it's going to allow you to select the same questions across multiple surveys to compare any changes across the different surveys. So say for instance here, I am trying to see, how many people on the Wii are asking, what is their favorite Super Mario Brother character. And so I've got two surveys, I've got my Super Mario Brothers survey, and then I've got a copy of that as well, the copied version for Salesforce. And I just want to notice what, changes are there. And so once you selected those two surveys that you want to compare, then after that you'll go in and select the question that you want to compare. And after you select the two questions, go ahead and click on Save the Comparison Report. And you can create multiple comparison reports and come back to it at any time. Once you save that, a chart will be generated for you to review and see the different changes for one answer versus another. So you can see across the board, even though the same answers, we have the same options, people, still thought, Mario was their favorite no matter what. So I thought that would be really interesting for you guys to try to do. And at this time, you can do two surveys at a time. And once you have this here, you'll then be able to download it. If you can see this icon on the right side, it's got 3 lines. You'll be able to click on that and then download the copy of the chart as well. So that's our new data comparison report. The next thing that we've offered here is our image finder. And basically, this is for those who have an extremely loaded library of images. And now we just make it a lot easier to find those specific images and formats that you want to reuse in your surveys. So all you need to do is go into your Edit Survey tab and click on the library, and just scroll down just a bit from the top and then type in the search and filter file fields what file names that you want to have. I just picked some silly names here, just image1, and I want a JPEG. And it'll do a search and it'll pull up all of the options that match this. And once you found that, then you'll be able to copy and paste the HTML code, delete or do whatever you need with the images, and you can add those back into your survey or clear them out if you need to. So, this is really good, especially for those who are using, so many different kinds of images and pictures in your survey, and you're just not really sure, what you have, or you're maybe looking for something that you don't remember whether or not you have it uploaded. Then you can just type in both the file name and the extension of the file and try to find what you need. So hopefully that will be a good enhancement for everyone. So let's go ahead and jump into a live demo at this point. And I'm just going to get out of here. And then you guys can see typing in person here. So I've got my Super Mario Brothers survey. And to set up the basic piping, you just click on the logic, select your branching skip pattern, and then make sure to branch it for each question that you need to pipe. And then after that, type in Mario. And then if you know that you want to apply a custom variable to it later down the road and use it in a different part of the survey, you can go ahead and add a custom variable here. And keep track of those, by the way. And once you set those up, go ahead and select Update Branching Information. So that's going to set that up. The next thing is to go to the follow-up question below, which is this, and select Edit, and then update your text with the piping text code. And then save that. Here is an example of doing piping based off of doing open-ended. So to do that, you just need to go into the code and select branching skip pattern once again. So, and then just apply a custom variable right here. And you don't need to type in anything in the piping text because it's open-ended text. You don't know what they're going to say. If you do pipe something in here or add something, it's going to just take whatever you have here and move it into the follow-up question. So keep that blank, add a custom variable, and you're set there. And then after that, the follow-up question, add in your custom variable number, and select save. And then the last one here is for looping. So you can see sort of a pattern. So you set everything up like you did before, but if you need to loop multiple answers or multiple follow-up questions, enable the looping option here, and then save. And once you have that, apply a page break, and then go ahead and build out the follow-up questions and make sure that you have your piping text applied to at least the first one. So you just add your piping text code here, save that, and then you can do your follow-up questions, and if you want to add the piping text to that, you can as well, and it will continue to move it forward. Even if you didn't have the piping text, you can do a follow-up. It doesn't, it still will be part of the piping loop. And then add that here. And then once you have that set up, then you can go ahead and close the loop. So let's go ahead and do just a quick preview of some of these things. Probably I could do this one here. So you can see I applied it. And this will be just a quick looping one. So I asked a fun question. What are some ways to improve the castle features in the Super Mario Brothers game? Select all that apply. So I'm going to say I want to allow players to customize the castle and allow people to share those customized castles. And then my follow-up is please comment why would customized castles improve the game. That's not a good answer, but we're just putting that in. And then it moves that piping text through it as well. So if we added customizable castles, how many times would you play Super Mario Brothers? Multiple times a day. Considering your fleet with the enhancements, how likely would you recommend it? And then it will go back to please comment why sharing custom castles it will improve the game. And then you can see sharing custom castles again, and then sharing custom castles again right here. And then it'll go to the next question. So that is looping in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and jump into variable mapping. So again, the option to get started is you want to go ahead and start with an email list or any kind of list. It doesn't have to necessarily be an email list, but as long as you have the right option, you can. So I'm just going to jump into an existing list here, and you can see who they are. And then you can also add by clicking on the CSV Excel upload, and this will allow you to select the format. And so you can decide which one you would like to use. And once you have that format set up inside here, go back to your Edit Survey tab, select Variable Mapping, and then click on the Add button, and then you'll go in and add the custom variables that you would like to use. I'm just going to pick 28, and then I'm just going to go with coin, and then click on Save. So anytime I use custom variable 28, it's always going to pull up information about coin. Now if I use the email list that I had earlier, then I can pull from those custom variables and have that map and show in the raw data and also in the survey as well. And then go ahead and click on Save. And you can see all the variables here. And you can also go ahead and manage the maps and delete if you like. And then if you want to do a quick add and you want to do a lot faster and you have like 255 variables, you can take the CSV with the commas and just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and just throw them all in at once in this particular example. So if I wanted to use custom variable 100, or I'll just do 100 and 200 since we can support that. Click on Save, and now these custom variables are going to be inside there. I think I have spaces, that's why. Yeah, so make sure to not have spaces. And there you go. My new custom variables are now added. So once you have those variables set up, then you can go ahead and remove the variables and change, custom, anywhere that said custom 10 in my survey, I can change it from custom 10 and use the word age. And then when I download the data, then I'll be able to also see these instead of just the custom variable columns saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can say age, region, games played most, recent app purchase date, on what kind of smartphone you have. I'll have that information, and overall it's just a lot better for your analysis as well. So that is the demo. We're just going to go ahead and conclude the majority of that. Probably the last thing I want to show is just the new items with the library. So this is the image library finder. So you go to Edit Survey, click on Library, and then type in your search filter. So if I wanted to type in anything with the word Mario, I can try to find any file that has that. I'll go to .png, and you can see I have one with the word Mario in it, and it pulls that up, and then I can decide what I want to do with it. So that's how you use that. And then if you need to do some data comparison, we do have that available in our labs. So that should be coming out actually the following week. So we're all set to go. So that is the conclusion of the presentation today. And for everyone who's attended, we're offering some special pricing on Q sample for respondents for your surveys. So if you would like to take advantage of that, make sure to speak to your account manager or customer success manager to qualify. So if you've never used QSample, basically they're a sample firm directly inside Survey Analytics, and they know how to use the tool, and they'll be able to work with you to set up the projects and deployment as well, and offer you some really good pricing throughout the year. So definitely check them out if you can. So Gina, are there any questions from the audience?
Yes, we actually do have one great question, and it is, do you have to know the file name and file extension when searching the library? It
Yeah,
came up during your live demo.
oh, that's a good question. Basically, as long as you, excuse me, type in a portion of the word, as you can see earlier, I typed in Mario, and Mario, the word Mario, it didn't have to be exact. It pulled up anything with at least the word Mario in it. So that was good. You do need to know what kind of file format it is. So if I knew that I was using a .png, then you can go in. A lot of times people may or may not know what those are, but you can just type in logo and put in different file formats and see if they can go through. And switching them out and trying to search through it is actually pretty easy to do. It's very user friendly.
Okay, great. Does anyone else have any additional questions for Esther while we have her on the line? All right, I would assume that's a no. All right, well, we'll go ahead and wrap up today's education hour. Thanks again to everyone that joined us. In case you missed out on some of the earlier parts of the presentation, we will be sending out the replay and slides to you later this afternoon. And feel free to contact us with any additional questions you have. And thank you, Esther.
Thank you.